Hello and welcome to another battle report. This one is Eldar on Eldar action. My mostly Mech army with lots of reserves, basically my reserve list. 4 Wave Serpents with their Avengers, 2 Hornets, 2 units of 7 Spiders, 2 units of Warwalkers, 1 with Bright Lances, 1 with Star Cannons and Scatter Lasers, a Wraith Knight, and a Naked Autarch. I think that's the whole thing. And I'm facing a Wraith army. There's a Wraith Seer in here, 2 units of jet bikes, a 10-man Wraith Blade unit, a single Hornet, Crimson Hunter, Fire Prism, 6 Fire Dragons, I think, in a Falcon, which is unusual, a Spirit Seer and a Far Seer, and a Wraith Knight with the cannons. I think that's its entire list. Alright, here we are after deployment. It was Vanguard Deployment, Emperor's Will. And the Hornet, he started on the board, Fire Prism behind that building there. He put the Wraith Blades pretty much central and then flanked them with the Wraith Seer on the left, and there's actually a Wraith Lord on the right, I forgot to mention. And the Spirit Seer and Far Seer are both with them. The Far Seer rolled on Sanctic powers, and actually was really interesting throughout the game. My deployment is fairly chicken. Almost all of my Wave Serpents are way back. I had the Move Through Cover and Stealth Ruins Warlord trait, which was very much to my advantage, and I kept my Warlord way back. The Warwalkers on the right hand side, you just saw there, that was overly optimistic deployment, and I immediately regretted it by giving up First Blood. Alright, here we are at the end of the top of 1. As you can see, I gave up First Blood. My Warwalkers, my Scatter Laser, Star Cannon Warwalkers are gone. Everything moved up. The biggest news, perhaps a couple items of note, the Fire Prism whiffed, and the Spirit Seer suffered a perils and forgot Voice of Twilight, which meant that the Wraith Blades and the other Wraith units were not going to have the advantage of battle focus for the rest of the game. That actually ends up being key, because it slows the advance of his army down significantly. I didn't suffer too much damage, and I didn't have to jink too much. Alright, here we are at the bottom of turn 1. There are no secondary objectives, no Maelstrom. It's just a straight Emperor's Will with First Blood, Slay the Warlord, stuff like that. I managed to shake the Fire Prism. Let's see, what else did I do over here? Oh, I wrecked the Hornet that you saw with a Wave Serpent. It was fairly easy. Armor 11's not very strong. And I think I took out 1, maybe 2 of the Wraith Blades, just with some pot shots. I didn't have anything else to do. I didn't do anything to the Falcon, though, despite trying a little bit. I got kind of poor moves, my run moves from my Bright Lance Warwalkers. Otherwise, they would have been much further back. And I fired the shields off of everything, all of the Wave Serpents. My Warlord, my Wraith Knight Warlord, I kept way back still as well. Alright, here we are at the top of turn 2. Despite trying to keep his jet bikes off the board, everything came on for reserves. He managed to take a hull point off of one of the Warwalkers and shake it. He got the top Wave Serpent, the red one there. He knocked a hull point off and got a weapon destroyed result, taking out the Scatter Lasers. I had also jinked versus his attacks there. You can see his jet bikes and his Wraith Seer tucked up inside the building on the left. Otherwise, there was not very much at all that happened. Alright, here we are at the bottom of turn 2. All of my reserves came on. In the top right, my Warp Spiders jumped in and destroyed the Fire Prism. My other unit of Warp Spiders dropped in close enough to this Falcon to take it out, and then battle focus and jetpack move into the building on the upper right there. Here I managed to take out a couple more of the Wraith Blades, and unfortunately, again with my movement, I wasn't able to pull my walkers back far enough to negate the possibility of a charge. Otherwise, in other news, I took his Wraith Knight down to just 2 wounds remaining. Alright, so here we are at the top of turn 3. I've got Warp Spiders in both of those buildings there. The building on the right is where his Emperor's Will is. He pushed his jet bikes up here next to his Wraith Lord. who is, you can see, is lagging very far behind because of the lack of Voice of Twilight. His Farseer used used Gate of Infinity, joined the Fire Dragons, and then ported them over next to my Wave Serpents. That was pretty effective. Here, the Wraith Knight managed to get into close combat with the Warwalkers and easily stomp them into oblivion, which is actually fine because then I was able to shoot at him on the next turn. Gate of Infinity and Sanctic Power is really interesting, and it plays out for the rest of the game as well. These Dire Avengers who got out of their vehicle were fine. They weren't pinned or anything like that, but it was definitely a surprising move to see how far that unit could move. Alright, so here we are at the bottom of 3. You can see my Warp Spiders at the top of the screen there. They got a fantastic jump, jumped out, and took out the unit of jet bikes. I was trying to focus on objective secured units a little bit there, or easy targets, make sure I wouldn't have to worry about them later on. You can see that all the Dire Avengers got out of their vehicles, and most everything shot at the Wraith Knight. Despite only having 2 wounds left, it took almost everything I had over there. The Hornets, who had been forced to jink in the turn prior, used their Skimmer Assault move just to sort of reposition themselves, and then took snapshots at the Crimson Hunter, and he declined to jink. I got a lucky hit and blew it up, actually, which is awesome, and it's sort of one of the things that I try to rely on the Hornets to be able to do for me at least every once in a while. Alright, here we are at the top of turn 4. You can see that the Farseer joined the Wraithblades and Spirits here again, and then gated them all the way back to his Emperor's Will objective, taking them all the way from this side of the board to the other. Over here, his Wraith Lord made it into close combat with the unit of Dire Avengers that had the Autarch in it, beat them, and ran them down. Well, actually, no, it didn't. Sorry, they got away, but they ran off the board, which again is unfortunate but lucky, because then I will be able to shoot him on the next turn. We're at the bottom of turn 4, and despite seeming like I have the advantage, it's not quite what I imagined it would be. Over on this end of the table, I shot almost everything into the Wraith Lord, but I still had a Wave Serpent that I could flat out for Line Breaker to send over the other side. I decided I had enough resources left to risk my Warlord in combat with the Wraith Seer, and I took a couple wounds off him, and he took one off of me as well. Over on this end of the board here, the spiders were not able to do a lot of damage at all. The Hornets had to jink again, and so I did another Skimmer Assault move and just tried to snapfire them in. Didn't remove too many models. That was really poor rolling on that unit right there. Alright, interesting stuff happened over here. The Farseer split off. He single-handedly took out the Hornets and also killed 6 of 7 Warp Spiders on the left, who made their morale check. On the right-hand side, he failed a very short charge versus the Warp Spiders there on the right. Over here, he knocked quite a few wounds off of my Wraith Knight. Couldn't make any saves. And that's what I'm looking at in terms of the objective there. But unfortunately, the Wraith Blades are objective secured. Alright, here we are at the bottom of 5. Warp Spiders jumped up onto the building there. The solitary Warp Spider is the one you can actually see through the doorway there. I had him also helping to hold the objective. I put the full unit in front. We decided to shoot at the Farseer, managed to kill him to double him out for Slay the Warlord, which was good. Otherwise, I pushed my Wave Serpents up, maybe not enough. It was really hard to get angles to shoot at stuff at this point in time. There was no threats to my backfield because the Wraith Seer finally went down. Alright, the game continued on to a turn 6. The Wraith Blades, there were only 2 remaining plus a Spirit Seer, assaulted the Warp Spiders and managed to win combat. We managed to run away, and need to see if they would regroup by the end of this turn. And in other news, he turbo boosted his jet bikes all the way over into that building in order to secure a line breaker. All right, here we're at the bottom of 6 and what turns out to be the end of the game. I cannot contest this. I was not able to figure out a way to remove the Wraith Blade and their high toughness, and they're fearless. The Warp Spiders did regroup, but were not able to contest it, of course, against them. Despite seeing the model sitting here, I did manage to remove all of them between that Wave Serpent on the left there, the tan one, and the Wraith Knight. That's it. I ended up barely taking the game just on those secondaries with the Slay the Warlord line breaker.